Well, I haven't recorded a game in ages, so I'm a little rusty on it, but I thought I'd go ahead and try to get some up for the fun of it. I won the dice roll here, and I also have a very good draw, as you'll see. So this isn't the most exciting of games, but it was fun. So I, of course, select to play first, and as always, I'm playing EdricVsQueen. This time my opponent is playing Edric's Spymaster of Trest, and I have a perfect hand here. So I obviously I actually kept without seeing what he was playing, because it's such a good hand. So I went ahead and paid the 2 life with the fountain. It's not going to really come down to life, more than likely, in this match, and these are options, and this gives me the color that I definitely want, so there was no reason to play a sackland there, I thought. I'll hold these so that I can make the best choice about what to get with them. So, Edric playing a breeding pool, paying 2 life, and not casting an elf tells me he's holding either Spell Pierce or Spell Snare. So I'm hoping it's not Spell Snare, because I can actually pay the mana of a Pierce with the Soul Ring, or he might have like a Force Spike or something along those lines. So, since Spec resolves, it's not Spell Snare, so it's Spell Pierce. But I figured I might as well go ahead and just let him do the Pierce now, because this Quiet Spec basically drew me 3 cards. If he counters one of them, I still have a couple others to go. Could have been, the argument could be made that that was a mistake, and I should have just held back on the deep analysis. And sure enough, there's the Pierce. Too obvious. So turn 2, he says done, so I figured he's got a counter spell of some sort. Again, very defensive. So I drew the Verge, and I figured I could play the Verge there and say go, but by playing the Windswept Heath, I can have the option of Flashback Ray if he happens to play a Sylvan Library on his turn, or a Grudge if he happens to play something that I need to target. And also, I have this to follow up, which will let me recast Mystical Teachings for 6 with no interruption in play. And finally, by playing the Sackland now, I can do the Tithe trick when he lays his 3rd land. Of course, he surprises me with the Scrib Ranger, which he could use to effectively counter the 2nd draw off of Tithe. But since Tithe will get me a card anyway, it doesn't matter. It would still set him back a land, so it's worth doing. So he makes Edric, and in response I do the Tithe trick now. Because if he has, I want it to look like Tithe is important, and if he has, like, say, Force of Will or something, or a Mental Misstep, and were to play it on the Tithe, then I could just Swords to Edric, which is the play I need to make this turn. I don't want him drawing cards. He decides to just let it all go, though, so I get to draw 2 off with Tithe, and put my Tundra into play, and I go for Edric. So he's going to hit me for a point of damage, no big deal there. So, possible mistake, I probably should have played the Sackland. I mean, this lets me put Grudge up, but this lets me Grudge Aura Ray. We'll see if it bites me. So, again, he plays 4th land go. So, given that he's got Scrib Ranger, and I've seen a counter already, and he's got nothing he's doing here, like he's not playing Garrick or casting, well, a creature or anything setting up for Edric next turn, I have to assume he has a counterspell here. Possibly Snake or a Cryptic. So I decided, based on that hunch, that I was just not going to make a play. And if he were to, say, play a 5th land or use Scrib Ranger to get 5 mana next turn, and hard cast Edric with no mana untapped, then he will draw 1 card, but I will be able to flashback Mystical Teachings, and then Mystical Tutor and Terminus both his Edict and his Scrib Ranger, which will make up for the card he draws. So I just decided not to run anything into the telegraphed counter that he revealed there. Unfortunately, he had that Gitaxian probe, so he gets more information than I do. And because he does, I decided, and doesn't play Edric here, I figured and because he also puts pressure with a Fauna Shaman, I figured I can't really wait any longer. I'm going to have to go for my teachings. Which, you know, if this resolves, then I probably win. Because if teachings resolves, then since he saw that I have a Jace in my hand, he probably is in a lot of trouble, because I could go get so many different things that I could put him in a really bad spot, even as simple as a counter with Jace, to go with Jace. Anyway, he has the best counter possible for a flashback spell, so he gets to draw a card off of his remand, but at least now he's tapped out. So I get down with Jace. And while I could bounce his Fauna Shaman here, he brainstorms in response. While I could bounce his Fauna Shaman here, and then Jace would take a hit for 1, and it'd still be up, basically buying 1 turn. Since he's tapped out, I want to Jace now and basically make it a more expensive brainstorm. But the advantage of that is that if I don't draw anything and he does play Edric and attack, he has to choose between attacking me and getting cards, which will let me Jace again, or attacking Jace, killing it, and not drawing any additional cards. So that gives me time. So this was the play, and Jace delivers. So I get rid of, due to having another sack on, I just get rid of Crows and Verge. There's just not a lot of time against Edric where you really want to be playing Verge and saying go, and then sacking it. So down comes Humility, and look at that. A beautiful solution to the Edric problem, and simultaneously Jace is protected. So really we just have to hope for no hard disenchant. A card like Acidic Slime won't do it. Instead he gets GT down. An interesting choice. I think he had seen the Ancient Grudge earlier, so I don't know what he's planning to do with that. So I just +2 Jace because I'd really like to keep Jace around and let Jace tank for me. And I +2 it right into his Tamio, so excellent timing on that. If I didn't have anything in my hand, I probably would have just tried to draw again. But since I have like Sylvan to draw additional cards soon and Imperial Seal to set myself up, I figured I'm fine. So first things first, let's get rid of the GT. Secondly, get the Sylvan down. He may have a counter, but then again, he may have Mana Leak, and this will let me, by making this play, the Sylvan now lets me see what he's got going on and decide what I want to Imperial Seal for. It looks like he's got nothing, so I go ahead and play a Sackland first, prior to Imperial Seal. To go get green, with the reason being that I don't know if I want to flashback Ray or Grudge. So I want to have green up before I Imperial Seal. If I were to play the Sackland and then Imperial Seal and then say go, and he played like something that I needed to disenchant right away, I would have to shuffle, and that would have wasted my Imperial Seal. So I go for the seal. And I was having a tough time thinking. I'm not sure what you would get. I have no more draws this turn. Really, it comes down to do I want to try to get a counter and just sort of defend my position? Do I want to get something that goes more aggressive towards winning, such as Staff of Nin, perfect with Humility? Or should I get, like, say, Vedalken Shackles? Because on the off chance that he does have a disenchant for Humility, if I get the Staff, I can shoot the Scrib, but it won't handle Edric and Fauna Shaman. If I get Vedalken Shackles, I can just, everything's dealt with. Like, he has another problem. Or I could get something else, like Future Sight, Stroke of Genius, Karn, cards that tend to win the game. So I don't know what you would get, but ultimately my opponent didn't let me decide. he conceded. And that was it. I had a great draw, obviously, with the Soul Ring and the Quiet Spec early on. But my opponent had a great draw for countering it with his answer on turn 1 to Deep, and then his Remand to effectively counter a spell without losing a card. Unfortunately, I don't think Edric is very good when it's played in this manner, when you're playing it with a bunch of... when your draw does not support hitting them with lots of guys and drawing lots of cards, and you're just playing counters, it doesn't make for a very good Edric game for the Edric player. So I've got the deck list here if you want to see it. And I hope to see you next time. Hopefully I'll have some more interesting games for you.